Currently Kirkland, your source for city news and events in the community. With Connie Turman at the news desk. Stay up to date with weekly news reports and what's happening in Kirkland. Now, here's Connie.
Welcome to Currently Kirkland, where every week you can engage with your community by discovering the latest developments in citywide events. I'm Connie Turman.
I wrote an essay when I was in the 5th grade that my mom actually saved, that what I want to do when I grow up is be a cop.
That's Audra Weber. She's been an officer in Kirkland's police department since 2000. Most of that time she was working the patrol.
I just wanted to be a street cop. I wanted to drive a patrol car. Yeah. I wanted to wear a uniform. I'm very proud, patriotic. I even at one point considered military way back in the day.
This is how she saw herself. Last year, however, she challenged that identity by making a bold decision. She applied and tested for Kirkland's Neighborhood Resource Officer position. The position would rely less on enforcement skills, Weber spent more time than a decade refining, and more on her ability to diffuse tempers, engage neighborhoods, and ensure order in business districts.
The Neighborhood Resource Officer basically handles the calls that need more time, community sensitive type things, neighborhood related. A lot of what I deal with is noise complaints. You know, my neighbor's constantly playing his stereo at all hours of the night. They'll call 911. That's how it sort of gets initiated. You know, the patrol officer will go out there. They'll warn the person who's playing the bass. You know, it's technically not, I mean, you're in a living space. It's technically not a crime, but hey, you got to be a good neighbor. And then when it continues, and next week they're called again and again and again, when it becomes sort of a chronic problem, that's something that patrol just shouldn't have to deal with. So we need somebody that can take the time to spend trying to mediate, trying to solve the problem that it just is time consuming and patrol officers can't do it. So a lot of what I do is community education.
Of course, education is a two-way process.
Done my 6 years in patrol, and then I did 4 years in detectives, and then I'd been back out on the street for like about a year and a half or so. And I wanted to try something new. You know, I go to community meetings, the neighborhood meetings, the council meetings, you know, code and zoning meetings, all those, you know, I'm interacting a lot with a lot of the different people in the city.
For a woman who grew up across town from Tacoma's Hilltop neighborhood, when it was one of the nation's most dangerous neighborhoods, the Neighborhood Resource Officer position might seem like a tame assignment. But Weber says the relationships she'll help, build, and mend through her new position are essential for the city.
Our patrol officers should be out answering priority calls and, you know, dealing with crime and traffic and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm a good liaison.
Weber says her interest in law has been evolving ever since the 5th grade, when she wrote that essay about one day being a cop. She studied law up to a master's degree at Boston's Northeastern University.
You have to be a people person. You have to be extremely organized. You have to be knowledgeable of your job.
Since becoming the Neighborhood Resource Officer, Audra Weber has spent more time with people and less time with guns.
A lot of what a Neighborhood Resource Officer does is presentations. You know, standing up in front of groups, that type of a thing. You know, you can't be shy.
But one issue has her dealing equally with both. Police officers responded to 55 weapon calls in 2011. And though nobody knew it, half of those weapons were actually toys. The next generation of paintball guns called Airguns. They shoot plastic BBs at speeds up to 420 feet per second. Everything else about them is real, too real.
So these are like $200–300.
Oh yeah, people like spend up to these can be as expensive as the real guns.
Weber has spent much of her time emphasizing one point. In public spaces, a real-looking gun is every bit as dangerous as a real gun.
Oh my.
What do you think?
I would be alarmed.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think there was a guy rolling around the park with a gun?
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah.
Would you call the police?
I don't know. Well.
I mean, be honest. If you saw somebody just dressed in, let's say, normal clothes, jeans and a t-shirt, or if it's a nice sunny day, or jeans and a jacket and a baseball cap, wandering around the park, carrying this around, would you, you know?
Probably, yeah. So one is real and one is not.
Look at that.
Wow. If you hadn't told me about the orange thing, I wouldn't have known. I would not have known.
Airguns look so real, the federal government requires manufacturers to make their tips bright orange so law enforcement officials can distinguish them from real guns. City code considers them weapons and bans them in public spaces. But this hasn't stopped some from taking their war games into the public, and this has risks. The price for these guns can range in price from a few $100s to $3,500. Losing them is a big deal. But losing an expensive toy is certainly preferable to losing a life. Weber understands this risk as well as anyone. On September 11, 2010, Weber received a dispatch saying a male subject had punched a bus driver and fled through the QFC parking lot in downtown. Weber found him near the QFC and she found something else.
As I turned, I said, "Hey man, I need to talk with you." From the side of his hand that I couldn't see, he turns and he goes to point his gun at me. And as he does it, he then turns and starts to go back down the pathway that I had just come on the sidewalk. But he turns around, I go from looking at his eyes saying, "Hey man, I need to talk with you," to he's got a gun, you know, and it was a pistol. I described the pistol to a T, and he went, and I had at 100% on my everything I have thought it was a real gun. There's not one part of me that didn't think it was.
A few days later, the same man was involved in a similar incident, only this time shots were fired, wounding his leg.
Who's going to notice that tip when you're seeing gun?
Back in 2010, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Federal Agency seized 30 of these guns from a distribution warehouse in Tacoma because the tips of these guns were black. Later, the agency said, with a little expertise, the toy guns could be converted into real guns. These toys can cost as much as $3,500, and they can fire plastic BBs at speeds exceeding 400 feet per second, about half as fast as a .45 caliber weapon. Enthusiasts say air guns are the next generation of paintball, just a little more sophisticated. Kirkland police say that's fine as long as you keep them out of the public sphere.
And God forbid, you know, a police officer ends up shooting a kid with an airsoft gun.
Students at Finn Hill Junior High are turning the tables on bullies at 7 p.m. on March 10th with an evening of arts and expression. Students will perform their art, music, poetry, and drama for the first Bully Slam in Lake Washington High School's Performing Arts Center. Last year, I was able to attend the one at the Kirkland Performing Arts Center, and it was amazing.
Bullying is really wrong, and that's how we finish this dance boy song. Do-da-dippity.
To learn more, visit lwsd.org and type Bully Slam into the search bar. Remember, you can access any episode of Currently Kirkland on demand on the city's website, on your mobile device, and on YouTube. We'd also love to hear from you. If you have any news tips, suggestions, or comments, please send them to kirklandtv@kirklandwa.gov. Thanks for watching Currently Kirkland. We'll see you next week.